Good evening, all. Welcome to episode 16 of the Mixup Midweek podcast, the final one before the next generation kicks in. And this week we are joined by the magnificent duo from Game Pass Gaming, both Phlapp and Puxley. How are you doing today, guys?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Great to be on the show.
Hello, everybody. Yes, we're all good. Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Nice.
We will do proper introductions first and foremost to our guests. So, Phlapp, how are you doing today, buddy? What you been up to?
Work today. So, been at work today. I've been constantly spamming the refresh button on my Xbox Series X order just to make sure it's all going through. But the money has come out. It's on my credit card, so they've taken the money. All I need now is my Series X. So, and I will be one very happy chappy. So, less than a week. I'm really excited. Great time to be an Xbox gamer, gamer in general, really, but specifically Xbox because it's. I think they're on an upwards curve, and I'm looking forward to the show. In fact, it's going to be quite nice to say goodbye to the sort of Xbox One in lots of regards and welcome in the next generation. Yeah,
it is, and of course today's show is all about saying goodbye to the Xbox One and welcoming the new generation. So. I'm looking forward to digging into that and seeing what your thoughts are and everything. Puxley, how are you doing today, brother? What you been up to?
Hello. Yes, no, not too bad, thank you. Again, I've been working quite late today as well, actually, so I've not actually done a lot. I mean, I've actually been balls deep into Rocket League again recently, so doing a lot of ranked on that. But as we just said before we came online, actually. Unfortunately, I didn't get a pre-order in on time, so I'm hoping that the stock allocations come back in after launch, and I can hopefully grab one as soon as.
So fingers crossed. Especially, I think probably Amazon and Microsoft will probably be the best bets to try and get them on there. I know kind of a few different stores in the UK, like Game and things, aren't the most reliable to try and kind of look at their websites. With things like console.
Yeah, I'm going to be refreshing those pages as much as I can.
yeah. Most definitely. No, I think you should be all right to get one kind of around the launch period. It's going to be, I think, due to the fact that they can't do any in-store over the next month, that they're going to, all of that kind of install batch that they had will be used for online stock. So you'll probably be a little bit better in that regard. So fingers crossed for you, mate.
Yes, thank you very much.
There was a Series S available today again, right, for pre-orders?
Yes.
No, I don't want that, I'm afraid.
I was wondering.
No.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that have pre-ordered a Series X and for whatever reason have decided to cancel. Perhaps they accidentally ended up ordering two or whatever. And it just makes me wonder what Microsoft and all of the retailers do with their cancelled orders, because obviously there still doesn't seem to be any more available, does there? Makes me wonder.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To be fair, there's a few different pre-order issues. To be fair, the problem you've got is a lot of people will have pre-ordered, and then for some reason the money is no longer available to them, or they've come into difficulties and they haven't cancelled. It's just bounced and then cancelled itself. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Aren't there also waves coming in with consoles, right? So it could be just they just had a couple left, maybe. I don't know.
You never know. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming weeks. And obviously, as you can tell, Sean's dropped off again, so we'll drag him back in when his connection sorts itself out. But we shall get back onto the panel intros. So, Pat, you've just come off the back of doing your own unboxing video there.
The first one, yeah.
Yes. How did that go?
Well, it went pretty good, if I can say that. So it's fun, but it's fun to do, like to do your first unboxing video. It's it's not a thing you do regularly, so but it's fun to do, yeah.
Yeah, and it was quite a cool Watch Dogs Legions unboxing that you won from Xbox NL.
Yeah. I won it last Sunday. They did a live stream on Twitch, and actually I was already laying in bed, falling asleep, and Mr. Geekness, he sent me a message on Twitter like, "Congratulations, you won!" And I was like, "What? What did I won?" I didn't even realize that I forgot about the whole giveaway. And He sent me the link, and I went on the live stream. I just said something in the chat, and all people were like, "Congratulations, you won!" and this and that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. And receiving it quickly, as quick as this, I didn't expect it. So yeah.
That's sweet. Well, it went well. Obviously, there was quite a few of the guys here that jumped over into that chat as well. It was a very quick surprise drop on the upload there. So
yeah,
thank you for everybody to jumping in and watching that before the podcast today. And I would say last but not least, but obviously we'll introduce Sean whenever he comes back. He's just resetting his router because his internet's shit up on him. So that's unfortunate. But Erwin, how are you doing today, brother? I know you're busy with work and lockdowns and whatnot. So
and also with my little son Jesper, he decided to wake up at 5:30, and didn't sleep, of course, afterwards. And so that was nice. And then I had a sales training for 3.5 hours today also. And I was on the phone with some customers, so quite a busy day. But there was actually really good weather, so I decided during my lunch break to go out for a little walk for like half an hour or so. And it's always nice to refresh your brain a little bit. Also, I think one of the last good days in the Netherlands, probably. So join the sun a little bit and get my mind a little bit at ease. It's been a rough week, a lot going on in the world, not only in America, but also with all the shootings going on in Vienna and Paris. And I tweeted out the other day, I was going to sleep, and then I saw those terrorist attack happening in Vienna, and it was very sad to see. I hope it stops, because the world can use a little bit more love instead of all the shit that is going on in 2020. So I hope it stops, because it's ridiculous.
It's been bad enough. We don't need all that stuff kicking off again as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's such a short notice every time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, but yeah, and besides that, we played a lot of PUBG actually the last couple of days, every night, and we actually got quite a lot of chicken dinners as well. But me and Tamara and me were playing really as a team now. Finally, also with Justin, and that we see the benefits or we see the result of that teamwork. We get a lot of chicken dinners. Yeah. Also, the new update with 60 frames is nice. So it's good times, happy days.
It is. It's happy days indeed. Happy days indeed. And obviously, you'll be looking forward to both you and Pat and kind of the rest of us will be looking forward to jumping into that on the Series X with that new patch. Obviously, it's only going to be better on the Series X, but it's already improved quite drastically on the One X. A lot smoother, like you mentioned, kind of your hitboxes and things like that are registering a bit better, a bit closer to home. You're not just firing blanks.
No. Actually, the last match that we finished just 20 minutes ago or something like that, we were at the final two teams. Yeah. And I was the last one standing, and I got shot, and I directly said, "Okay, this couldn't be happening. This isn't right." So I watched the kill cam, and really on the screen he shot such a thing behind me, and it registered as a headshot, and we were done. It was ridiculous. So I clipped it, I sent it to Pat, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's how it is. Yeah. Besides that was the only thing that really is messing up, because the game really improved, and I'm really happy for that. Oh.
Sweet, and just in time, we have Shomberlon. Shomberlon, if you can hear me, brother, how are you doing today?
I can. I think I'm going to have my camera off just because, whatever reason, my network.
Keep the connection.
It's okay, Steve. No problem.
How are you doing today anyway? What have you been up to?
Mainly working and fanatically pressing F5, is it? I can never remember. Yes. I've got a Mac, it doesn't. Anyway, refreshing. Just to see if my orders moved to the next stage. It is currently sitting in pre-ordered, estimated. Yeah.
Just wait for it to say dispatch now, won't we?
Yeah, I reckon that's going to be either tomorrow or Friday. I think they're going to try and get them to the distribution centres early, and then have them come out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What have you been playing? Have you been playing anything, or managed to be playing anything over the last couple of days? Or
I've been playing Apex and Destiny just because they're coming to the end of the seasons. I was trying to get with Apex, I was trying to get to level 100, and Destiny just trying to get as far up the season pass as I could because I entered that quite late. Yeah. I thought there was a little glitch in the system and I could start playing Gears Tactic because it let me get all the way through to the front screen, and then when I pressed start to actually start, it loaded up and it says, "No, you can't play this yet." So normally it just comes. Normally it comes up before you can even load the game up. It says, no, you're too early, come back. It let me get all the way through, and I was like, oh, maybe I can start playing Gears Tactic early. And no, I couldn't.
Not long now, just a week ago.
I made a list of me Series X games. That's a list, hopefully.
A list of them. What Series X games have you got in your list then?
Well, I've put it in my groups, just ones I know. I need to remember to switch over. So I've got Apex, Cyberpunk, Destiny 2, Gears Tactics, Metro Exodus, Red Dead 2, Jedi Fallen Order, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, PUBG, and I need to add Assassin's Creed Valhalla because my game sharing partner is buying that.
Ah, happy days. So you don't even have to worry about that?
No, I don't. I don't have to worry about that. It's good.
It's always good.
So it means I have to pick up Cyberpunk because he was going to get Cyberpunk.
Right.
So I'll get that, but that's all right. It's next month, and I'll have been paid.
Yeah.
By then, so.
Well, that's the thing. That was a slight relief as well when Cyberpunk was delayed because I was like, well, A, I don't have the time, and B, it's just more money that comes out on launch day.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like, all right, push it back a month. That means the money doesn't come out until like end of November. So thank God. Never mind. I want to start this episode, of course, by kind of reminiscing about our favourite parts about the last gen. But also in fact, we'll start with what went wrong at the start and what we want Xbox to do better this generation, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So we'll start rubbish and we'll go on to make something nice. So to start, we'll go with our guests first and foremost. Phlapp, what is it about kind of the generation overall that you found wasn't as good as it could have been and obviously needed improving upon, or you want Xbox to improve upon kind of in the next generation?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. I think it's two things, actually. And I think one was obvious from the beginning and the other one took a little while to land. And I don't think it kind of caught us off guard a little bit. And the first one is obviously the sort of the hardware itself in terms of how it was powered, in terms of sort of graphical power and stuff like that. And obviously, I think most people would agree that forcing everyone to have a Kinect on day one probably wasn't the best move in the world. Obviously, during the 360 era, I believe at the time, the 360 Kinect was actually the fastest selling piece of technology to date. So I think, Microsoft thought that, Kinect was, something everyone really wanted. But not at the expense of obviously cost and power to the machine. And they learned a very hard lesson in 2013 at that E3. And I think Sony really sort of gave them a bloodied nose as well. They gave them a bit of a whack because, not only did they force upon us the Kinect that not everyone wanted, it was obviously a less powerful machine. It cost more. And obviously all of the DRM stuff as well that went with it. So I think Microsoft, they were really on a sticky wicket to start with, to be honest. So that was the kind of obvious one. But Phil Spencer was in an interview fairly recently, actually. I think it was either this week or within the last week. And he was saying that, the games was obviously the other sort of slow burning issue that perhaps wasn't necessarily obvious at the time. But as the generation went on, it obviously became obvious that there was a lack of first party stuff coming out or quality first party stuff. And he even admitted that kind of started at the tail end of the 360 era. But as we know, these sort of things take time to show up. If Microsoft turn their back on a load of studios, then it's going to take a little while for the gap to appear. And then once the gap has appeared, doesn't matter what studios you go and buy, it then takes a while for that gap to then be filled again. And that's kind of, I still feel like we're in the gap, to be honest, to a certain degree. I know they've gone out and bought a load of studios, and that's absolutely brilliant. But we're still waiting for those sort of titles to land, aren't we? But I'm just so pleased that Microsoft were obviously, had enough foresight to see the gap, and they've actually tried to fix it. And the fruits of that label will actually happen and appear during the Series X generation. So I think it's all coming together for Microsoft. It's going to be a great generation.
But definitely, I think, like you say at the beginning, there was quite an issue around the power that they released with. I mean, it wasn't even. We'll joke about 12 teraflops now, but I mean, it launched with like 0.9?
1.3.
1.3.
Yeah, 1.3.
But the thing is, though, I mean, that's fine in isolation, but obviously when you're comparing it to the PS4, like I said, it was cheaper and could actually do 1080p games in lots of cases and stuff.
Yeah.
I know the whole 900p versus 1080p is a stupid argument, but it was one that was raging at the time, and I think it did. It made loads of people jump ship, to be honest. So.
Yeah, 100%. And like you say, like because it was cheaper, it was what was it, 100 cheaper?
100, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot, isn't it?
It is.
For a more powerful system.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
it was like that.
Yeah, it was as simple as that. It was more power. And again, obviously we don't get into kind of bitching between consoles, but it is a fact. At that time, it was down to power, it was down to price, and it was down to the poor messaging from Microsoft at the start with the DRM and the console, like you say, bundling with Kinect. And of course, we know Kinect in 360 did really well, and people loved it. But then forcing people to have it as opposed to having it just as an accessory on the launch Xbox was kind of the killer. Because as soon as they took that out, then Xbox started picking up.
Exactly, and they could use. I think wasn't it an extra core on the CPU? They could then use it. Kind of freed up some resources internally, didn't it?
Yeah. And some RAM also. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a poor start. A bit of a poor start. It was a horrendously poor start, and of course then they had the DRM issue with the sharing of games that PlayStation took advantage of.
Yeah, I think that won the generation for PlayStation. Just that 30-second clip. I've said it many times. It's just I just thought that was the real sucker punch. They obviously banged that out very quickly, almost that afternoon, didn't they? And got it up online, and that was it.
Yeah, it was immediate. It was immediate.
That first presentation with the review of the Xbox One was also really better. If you look it back, I watched it back like a couple months ago with the review back in 2013, and it was really bad. The whole TV stuff, it was not over exaggerated. It was really like that, and it was really bad. Only games were just a small part. Actually, the games that they launched were actually pretty good. If you, especially when you compare the launch titles that we now get. Actually, the games were better. Only the resolution gate really had a lot of fuss around it. Digital Foundry also, of course, did the analysis, and Sony fueled that. 1080p makes you a better gamer, right? As well. And I got the PS4 back then as well. I started off with the Xbox One, and then soon after I got a PS4, and then I really saw the difference between the multi-platform titles. It was a big difference. In resolution, but in the end I didn't feel that the games were there at the beginning of the PS4, so I sold it again. But you could see really the difference in the third-party titles. That was really the case, and I think Sony really played a good role in that, marketing-wise. But it was a mess if you look back.
Oh yeah, 100%. Puxley, I mean, do you have anything to kind of add to what you thought kind of went wrong, not just at the beginning of the generation, but throughout the generation, that you'd like to see Xbox kind of change?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be clear, I am one of those people who did jump ship. I ended up with a place. I know.
Throw tomatoes ready. Throw tomatoes at him.
I did jump ship to PlayStation 4, but I think it's all for the reasons that we've all said about. But one of the things I've said a lot of times on our previous shows as well is the world in 2013 was obviously completely different than it is now. So the idea of DRM back then was a big no-no, right? It was just like, no, we still got to go to the shop. We're still going to buy our games physically. Who actually does digital? But then in the 7-8 years since then, it's the world has gone that way, right? I mean, everybody's streaming all of their movies and music from Spotify or Netflix or whatever. And I think gaming is going to go a similar way, at least in terms of the consoles and systems that we all have always online now, right? So that all of our phones or other equipment, everything's now connected. And I mean, in 2013 again, I think all of this kind of stuff in the gaming realm is still pretty new. So I think the idea of something always being connected is, well, if my internet drops off and all this kind of these concerns, which yes, it can happen, but since 2013 and 2020 now and onwards, like a lot of the world's internet lines are pretty stable. I would argue. The ideas of having constant dropouts or this kind of thing, I think is more of a thing of the past. Obviously, it depends on where you live, but I think for the most part, most people do have a consistent connection. So I think those kind of worries from back then are now the other way around. And I think the idea of most people now going to the store to buy physical discs is also starting to wane, and more people are now comfortable with buying digital stuff. I mean, I've argued in the past about that I still like to have a physical disc or a cartridge if it's for the Switch or something, but that's mainly because I don't want to sit down and wait for my 90 gig download. I like to know that I've got the disc there so I can just slap it into my console and just have it installed from there. But then when it comes to things like my PC, I mean, I don't even have a disk drive in my PC. everything's just downloaded through Epic Store or Steam.
Now you mention it, I don't either. just check there.
But in terms of what I think Microsoft are moving, I mean, I think Game Pass has been one of the big winners of Microsoft this generation, this coming generation, I should say. Because when we're looking at, I mean, we've seen a lot of the news in the previous weeks about the prices of next-gen games, and obviously Sony have said that most of their PS5 titles are going to be at least $70, or that's basically going to be about £65 to £70, right? Which, I mean, gaming has never been the cheapest hobby, but we are kind of going into the realms of it's a bit ridiculous if you're considering casual gamers and families as well, those that also want to enjoy. And I always think about families and children when it comes to times like this, because when I was a kid, it was, games were not as expensive back then, relatively. It wasn't as difficult for parents, beg and plead to my parents, but it was still more common that I could get 2 or 3 titles for a birthday or Christmas or whatever. But I do feel for people who, parents, especially of kids who may not be into gaming or not know what it's about. And then out of nowhere, they then find out after buying a PlayStation 5, for example, that, this isn't bashing, by the way. I'm just kind of going over, the idea of having to pay £70 or dollars for one title, and then, but my child wants 2 or 3 of these different games, and before you know it, you've spent just as much on games as you have the system. And this is kind of where
280 for 4 games.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
And there is 4 big launched, 4 technical big first-party launch titles. First or second-party launch titles for PlayStation.
Yeah.
So if you're arguing that, there's this. That's a system which is nigh on 500, and then 280 for those 4 games. It adds up.
Yeah,
and a camera and a controller
and headphones
and so forth. Yeah.
But this is where I think the value of Game Pass for me comes in, and this is, I mean, because I've been using Game Pass for PC for the last year and a half, and I've absolutely loved it. It's kind of got me back into the Xbox ecosystem again. And then now I can't wait to jump back into Xbox with the Series X, because I know that I can get all my first-party titles and most of my third parties that I'm going to want to play, as well as indie titles that I like to play. A lot of those are either on the system or coming to it. And I'm also looking forward to EA Play coming to the system as well. So there's a load of titles there I'm looking forward to jumping into, and it's for my 1 monthly cost. And I think that's where Microsoft's really going to shine in the future. And I just hope that they don't settle down on that. I hope they just keep putting things on Game Pass and showing that actually this has real value and this is what you should be jumping into.
Yeah, I mean, another benefit for people like that is the fact that you've got that cross save and kind of auto synchronization as well. You'll be playing on, especially if you have a gaming PC and an Xbox, you can be playing on you get your Xbox downstairs in the living room, and then, for instance, you might be in the middle of doing something on work or creating a video or something like that and waiting for it to load or finish processing, and fancy jumping into a game quickly on the PC, and you can just pick up where you left off.
I've actually had that experience already with because I've got an Ultimate subscription now since the PC price went up. I thought I might as well pay the bit extra, get ready for the Series X to have all the gold stuff, and I thought I'll try out some cloud gaming. And I've actually jumped into cloud gaming on my phone when my partner works in the same room where my PC is. So when she's doing work, I go to a different room, just game on the phone, for example. And I've come back later, and the saves are almost instantaneous. I think it works fantastically well given that it's early days. It can only get better for me.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And to be fair, I mean, I don't know. I think all in all, the price of what is it, £10 a month for something for Ultimate, which is
$10.99, I think. Yeah,
that's an absolute bargain to me. To the amount of games you get, and the fact that now, obviously, every first-party title this coming generation is dropping in day one. It's absolutely it's a killer. It's a killer app in itself. You've got 3 places to play, and you can play all the first-party games either on the go, on your PC, or on your Xbox. And that save is between them all, so you don't have to worry about losing where you left off. You can just pick up straight away. Brilliant.
You got the Xbox Live Gold if you have Ultimate.
Yeah. So you get additional games there as well. I don't know how long that's going to last.
No, I think they're running out an hour and not quite shit.
Yeah. They're running out of free stuff to give. They're like, what are we going to give them?
They can better invest that money into Game Pass, right? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather they kept doing that, to be fair. And right now, I think the last few months on Game Pass, they've been adding like 7, 8, 9 games to it every other week. If you have a look at this month, it's something like 7 or 8 titles across Xbox, PC, and mobile. And of course, because they've got mobile now completely integrated into it, it just says, right, okay, well, now this one's available on mobile, and these are on PC and console. And then they keep adding and adding and adding. It's just... and I think I did a little video on the touch controls. I think, Phlapp, you've done a few different kind of how-tos on how to use certain features on xCloud and things like that as well.
They go down an absolute storm, yeah.
I've noticed. I've noticed.
Yeah, they've got about 11k views each are over there, coming up to 11,500 views on each of those. And it's amazing some of the questions that you get, because there's so many sort of people out there that are obviously sort of casual gamers, as it were, and don't necessarily understand the things that we probably all take for granted, because we're all fairly techie, aren't we? But they really surprised me. And you know, there's lots of people out there that just want to have a dabble and have a go. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, 100%. We'll go to Erwin now. And Erwin, I don't know whether or not you've kind of got anything else to add to their concerns from this generation, but what is it that you've kind of, from the entire generation, that you've picked up from Xbox that you want them to change and going forward?
I think more a global approach. Always mainly focused still on the US, right? With the most simplistic things. I think they forget a lot of things in Europe, like a translation or the dashboard or some other features like that, right? It's always quite strict in tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3, or regions and stuff like that. I think if you want to reach 2 billion gamers, you need to have a global view. And I always feel that's a little bit lacking. Somebody's mic is in the background making a lot of weird sounds. I don't know who it is. It's like a little robot.
Might be Pat. Pat, have you got a fan on or something?
No, nothing.
A little robot or something, or sound, or maybe, I don't know.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's calmed down a bit. No, it's calmed down. Never mind.
But I don't like the regional approach, let's say. While they always saying, you know, when everybody plays, we all win and such things, and inclusive and this and that, while they are lacking on a lot of things. So I don't like that. I hope that they will change a little bit more in that. Also to give more marketing in the Europe countries as well. And what I want to see change is also to show some balls, right? I mean, we know that they have plenty of studios. We know a lot of games are ready for a couple of years in the making. Please make us excited to see more of a clear roadmap of what's coming. We know the games that are coming, but we actually want to see some more footage of it. I want to be excited, and I'm excited for the new console and what it does and etc. and Game Pass. But that bang, that is really missing for me. I haven't been really blown away. And that's what I had with the launch of Xbox One. I really liked that Killer Instinct came back, right? It was announced at E3, and I saw the trailer. I was watching it with my mate Barry, and we were like, "Whoa, man, it's Killer Instinct!" You know, coming back to Xbox One, and then Forza also launching, and Rise Son of Rome. You know, it's still a title that I really think has a super lot of potential.
Speaking of Rise, did you see the rumor? Yes.
Yeah, that's what Ed.016 was talking about it in the chat. So
yes.
That's one thing I want to look into.
Good one to jump into there. It was a remaster for Crysis 2 and 3, as well as Rise being mentioned, a sequel for Rise.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to see a Marine Master.
They're calling it Rise Next or something, weren't they? I
yes.
think it was, Crisis Next as well or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing what that's about. But yeah, sorry, Erwin, continue. Just when you mentioned Rise there, I thought I'd just slide that one in quickly.
Yeah, no. The rumors were there. The second question, if it's true, let's see. And maybe it will be a multi-platform title. I don't know. There were some problems with Microsoft, right, about the IP. So who knows? But it has a lot of potential. And I see SX2 saying, would you like to Microsoft to just get out and get a blowout of literally everything they're working on? Now, I don't think they need to blow out of everything what they're working on, but I would like to see some gameplay more of Hellblade 2, for example, and Fable and such things, because I want to be excited after 7 years of pretty mediocre titles. I want to feel excited again. I want those really big bangers, and we didn't get them really. So we need to ask for more and better, I think, and that's not too bad. And I do that because I love them. And I want them to fight for us, right? So it's not a complete blowout, but I want to see them do a little bit more. The whole messaging, right? I mean, everything was so wrong in 2013, and it seems that they did almost everything right on the messaging, on the marketing. We talked about it plenty of times on the podcast. Yeah. Till now, if you compare this launch compared to in 2013, so much have improved. It's incredible. So I think they really are listening, and such a big company. I see it in my company as well. If you want to change things, it's really like a container ship. Those really big ones, the oil ships. If you want to move them, it goes really really slow. So probably they will, and they will improve. But we need to be patient, I think.
Yeah, it is a little bit impatient, but I think you're right in saying that they need to. It's a kind of a good mix. We don't want to see everything that they're working on, but we need to see more of what is sooner.
Yes.
So anything that's a few years out, leave it till next year to show us a bit more about that. Anything that's within the next year and a half, or even within the next 6 months, we need to start seeing a bit more, and soon. Pat, what are your kind of thoughts on the generation? What do you think Xbox could improve upon for the next gen?
Well, I actually agree with Erwin on the first part, like put more focus on the European side. Like he said, it's mostly US focused at the moment. Like not only this moment, but most of the time it is. But for me, I just gonna see what's coming. We all want the best things, and I don't know. I just want to see what's coming in the future. So I really don't have anything else to say that Erwin said so.
What's been said,
yeah.
So it's more you just want to see a little bit more that you want to see a little bit more of what they've got planned and kind of. Be a little bit more open on their own development processes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, sweet.
I've got another one that I think they got wrong, and it was horrendous timing. And I can kind of understand, but I think losing the Call of Duty sort of marketing deal also didn't help at the beginning of this generation as well, because
I think the problem they had as well is it was the horrific. If you have a look, they launched the one. Because I got the Xbox One with Call of Duty Ghosts, and there's such a poor reception that game got. I think is when Xbox said, "Nope."
No, I completely agree, and I think lots of people sort of, particularly with obviously the PlayStation getting the early access to a lot of the Call of Duty stuff. I think a lot obviously the YouTubers jumped ship that were currently on Xbox jump ship to PlayStation. And of course, if you're a Call of Duty influencer and you're playing on PS5, then those people want to play. PS4 at the time. People want to play on PS4 as well. Just to get that early content, and I think that really hurt Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. And FIFA as well. They lost FIFA. It's also a huge title. I know it's an annual title, but they lost the marketing rights for that as well.
Yeah.
So those are big titles being played by a lot of people. And also with the tournaments, right? The esports thing was also coming up. People want to play also then on that platform because PlayStation was hosting it, right, or marketing it. So I think PlayStation made some really good steps in that. They were aggressive, and the aggressiveness I missed a lot in the generation, and probably due to budget limitations as well, right? Because those marketing rights aren't cheap. The same for Bungie; they probably paid a ton. Xbox couldn't make any commercial or anything, only with how to say it, and a perfume with it called Xbox or Destiny, something like that. But I think they spent a lot of money in it, but they were aggressive. This whole gen, they were aggressive. And I think now you see the change coming with Xbox because finally there's bigger budget. Game Pass is a good example. Bethesda, all those studios acquired. Also, if you look at the amount of studios at the beginning of the gen, I believe it were 5 or 6 studios, right? At the beginning, and now there are 23. It's crazy. Yeah. It's such a big difference. So they are playing aggressive now.
35 projects. So, it goes way beyond even the number of studios they've got. So it's fantastic.
Yep. So they are aggressive now, and that's good to see. And they have some big marketing rights on Cyberpunk, right, and on Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. So that's good. Only I think the difference is also when Sony has a marketing deal, I think they are more strict on the marketing deal than Microsoft is.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. 100%. I think you can tell that anyway from kind of the build up to this launch. And again, being transparent is the earliest, I think and I've seen a few people mention it as well. It's the earliest they've had review units for a console before, like ever. They normally get them, they say, about a week prior. And I think a lot of the bigger sites, a lot of the kind of big tech reviewers have had these Xbox Series X for about a month now, if not a little bit longer. And then they've give the little influencers like you, or should I say the smaller influencers, the likes of Colt and Dealer, etc., and all the different YouTubers. They've had about a week or so with the console now. So instead of doing like big press, kind of get them a week early, influencers get them a couple of days before launch, now they've said, right, okay, big press, a month or so early. We're not that bothered. We'll just use you as the kind of the benchmark to see how things go, and then get your feedback, and then we'll give the influencers, and then kind of going forward. I think they've been a lot more transparent. Where PlayStation, obviously, everyone's only just all the big tech sites have just got their launch review units kind of the other day, a few days ago, and then. They did the unboxing, and they still haven't been able to really show anything. I don't think I've seen anybody post anything about gameplay or anything yet. Is any of you guys?
No, I haven't.
No?
Astro Playroom they showed, right? That was the only game that till now, right?
That's true. Yeah, Digital Foundry did Astro Playroom.
Yes, and a couple others as well I saw. So Astro is more or less in the open. I saw NX Gamer, that dude from England as well. Who also actually pretty good. I like him a lot, and he was also showing gameplay. And I saw some other clips of Astro Playroom as well. So I think Astro is now the only one that's really officially that they can show. Also because the controller, right? They can show the controller feature. So
yeah.
I saw one video like a guy holding. He was playing the animated game that they also shown on the showcase of PlayStation, but this guy was actually holding his controller, and he told like you can actually feel the difference when you're walking on like stone and when you're sliding. The controller feels different. Like that's a pretty cool feature, if I can say that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that actually works, and whether or not people actually want it to continue to work like that.
No.
Is it also not really beneficial to Xbox as well? And I didn't. It didn't pop my mind at first, but then I saw the packaging of Assassin's Creed Valhalla made for the Series X, and then it also says impulse trigger supported or something like that, right? And we all know that Xbox One already at the beginning of the gen, also with Forza, you feel that when your tires are slipping, right, you feel that the rumble in your triggers. And I know it's not as detailed as the PS5 controller, the DualSense, but it has some sort of haptic triggers, something like that in it, right? So if they start using it more now on the PS5, the Xbox One will have some advantages that as well. And I'm really looking forward how will Valhalla, for example, will feel on the Xbox One controller, or the Series X controller.
To be fair, they could use the triggers because it's not so much pulse, but they can make a pulsing kind of motion using the rumble triggers anyway. Of course, it would just have to send signals to like rev the motor up a little bit. So, for instance, if you're galloping on the horse, you just have to rev the motor 1 or 2 times to make it feel like it's galloping on the trigger. Likewise, if you're kind of pulling the ball back, you just have to ramp it up a little bit to get the motor to go faster to make it feel like it's tenser. So there's quite a few different variances. Of course, it's not going to have the same feel as the impulse trigger because that has a resistance. That's the one thing they have, is they have the resistance in the triggers. I'll be interested. That's one thing I'm interested to kind of dig into on their side is open that controller up and see how that resistance kind of works.
I think there's some videos already on YouTube that they have the controller open already. I don't know if you saw that already. Yeah, you need to.
Not yet. I'm definitely going to have to look into that. Definitely.
But you know, we as gamers, we all then benefit in the end.
100%.
If more parties or whatever use these features on these controllers, I think the Xbox controller will improve as well. And it's actually one of the main reasons I still want a PS5 now, so I'm trying my best to still get one on launch day or something like that. I couldn't get it a pre-order because of all the bullshit that was going on in Europe pre-orders, but okay, let's forget that. But I'm really wanting to feel how that feels, that controller, and also I think it will fit my hands quite nicely. I'm not a small guy, I'm quite big. My hands
you're smaller than me.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, but I think I really want to feel the new controller, and that's something that I miss a little bit. Of course, when it's good, you don't change it. Never change the winning team. But what I really miss also with the Series X, the dashboard will be practically the same, and the controller also. And normally when it was next gen, I always had like, okay, this controller is new, the new dashboard, how does it feel, etc. And that's what PlayStation had now with the DualSense. It's completely new, and also with the dashboard, it's completely new. So I think the experience on that side, I think will be more next gen than on the Xbox, because it's across generations, right? And there's nothing changed so much. So I know.
I think the thing we've had though this entire generation, we talk about against transparency again though, is there isn't really a test flight program for PlayStation dashboard or how to implement or change the UI on PlayStation. Whereas of course we on Xbox have had the kind of Alpha and Bravo and Delta skipper heads. So it kind of you can get those updates beforehand and help them change the dashboard. I mean, from when the Xbox One first launched to now, that dashboard is completely unrecognizable. The amount of stuff that changed on it. So the UI, as opposed to waiting an entire generation for a new UI, like you have on PlayStation, where it's pretty much remained identical the whole way through.
Yes, but if it works, exactly. They can keep it for one generation. I don't care. But we're moving now into a next one, and we just get the same. We just get the same dashboard as we have now on the One X, right? Yes. It doesn't say it's a bad dashboard because I like it. I love the improvements that they made.
That's what you're saying though. Obviously, they're going from a UI that they've had for a generation, so they've got that new feel because they're going on to something that they haven't had. Whereas we've gradually had this new dashboard built up for us over this generation. So now when the Series X launches, it doesn't feel new because we've had it. And also I was actually quite irritated this gen because every once in a while, every year almost, we get a different dashboard. And I'm getting older as well, so I was finally getting used to this shit, and then they changed it again, right? So but this new one is so fast though.
Man, even on the One X, even in the One S, it's snappy. So that's good. It's nice to make some improvement, but it doesn't feel when I have a new console. the surprise for being new is gone, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. What you mean. And again, with the controllers, you're right as well. Opening up a brand new controller that is different because the jump from the 360 to the Xbox One controller with the force feedback triggers and everything like that was new. That was new for us.
Thumbsticks, also huge. Yeah. I needed to get it adjusted at the beginning a lot.
Yeah. So it was a big difference. And like you say, that's they've got it this generation. Whereas, as you say, because the Xbox One controller has been so good, it's just needed slight refinements, and it's still kind of one of the fan favorites across the board. So they didn't feel the need to change something that wasn't broken, as opposed to then just kind of trying to make it like how do you say it?
More of an evolution instead of a revolution.
Exactly. Right? Instead of kind of trying to innovate, they've just said, right, no, it's great. We're just going to add a couple of little things, tweak a couple of bits, but the overall form factor and how it feels remains the same.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And what concerns me a little bit with the Series X controller is that they made it slightly smaller. And then for me at least, I get the feeling, okay, I actually want it to be a little bit bigger. So let's see. And I know one fits all. So I know that they also did some research on a lot of hands and stuff like that based on data. So it will be fine probably. And I still can use my Elite controller that I use now. So that's totally fine. But I think when you open just the box, right, and you plug in your console, you have that next generation feeling more on the PlayStation side, I think, at first, than on the Xbox. But
no, 100%. But I mean, obviously, I cancelled my PlayStation pre-order.
Yes.
For me, it was just down to there wasn't enough games. Obviously, Xbox is going, and people will hate this, but it is a true point, and I play all of my third-party games on Xbox as opposed to PlayStation. They are going to have the best versions of third parties, so I'm not getting a PlayStation for anything other than first-party titles. I wasn't a fan of Spider-Man. I don't want what's it called? The Sackboy. That's not for me.
Don't you?
There's not. I'm not a Demon Souls fan. I don't like Souls games.
But Drew, if you see now all those patches coming out, right? Also, Days Gone is going to run at a dynamic up to 60 frames per second and 4K and whatever. Don't you really regret just a tiny bit that you think, man, all those titles will probably look and run amazing, man?
Still, not really, because it's games that still already look amazing on the current console, and the load times aren't horrific. Like, I can deal with that on the PlayStation 4
60
Pro for
frames, man. 60 frames. Come on.
On narrative-based hack and slash games, I'm not going to notice that too much.
I noticed it a lot with PUBG, but that's me. And also with Horizon. With Horizon 4, I noticed it as well, with the 1X version, that they made it 1080p, 60 frames per second. The smoothness, when you get used to it, it's lovely, man. So... But each their own, and I understand that you.
It was the only thing that interested me, and even then, it wasn't like I need that game. Was Godfall? It was just a case of that's the only one that interests me. So I thought, somebody can have this pre-order that is going to want this console more than I do right now. So let them have it.
PC also, right? Godfall, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So if I wanted Godfall that much, I could pick it up and play it on PC.
Yeah.
But the games that I want on at launch, I would really want Ratchet and Clank.
Yes.
I want God of War, and I want
Kena. Also, Kena,
yes, Kena and Horizon.
Yep.
So
is Phlapp and Puxley also getting a PS5 or no, or only a Series X?
I'm only a Series X for now, I'm afraid. I do agree with what you said, though. I mean, I have to say, I am a big platforming fan, so I am looking forward to Sackboy Adventures, I have to say. But fortunately, I mean, also, I found out about a week or so ago that it's actually coming to PlayStation 4 as well, so I thought, wow, I'm sorted. I don't need to jump ship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I do agree with you there. I mean, maybe in the future, I'd get a PS5 definitely for Ratchet and Clank and the new God of War whenever that comes out. Those are two games I would definitely love to have a PlayStation 5 for. But I think I've seen a lot in the chat as well that outside of maybe a few of those titles like that, most of my experience, I think, going in this gen is definitely going to be on Xbox. And another thing I read, actually, if you don't mind me bringing it up, is I saw some things on Twitter today about certain or a particular title or some titles. I can't remember what it was, but for me or something. And again, I'm not trying to bash either console here because we don't know if the Xbox can fully do everything either. But there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, but that's okay. That's not a problem." And I think, well, are you sure about that? Because both of these systems have been pushed to be 4K capable no matter what. Like these are going to be the next gen machines. And then again, these could all be rumors. I'm not too sure, right? But I see these things about 1800p. It's not quite 4K, but that's okay. And it's just like, yeah, but for a lot of people, that's a problem because there's going to be a lot of enthusiasts out there which are going to pay a lot more money to jump onto 4K 120 hertz TVs. And now you're telling me that not all your games are going to support the full.
What games were these though, Pux? What games? Do you know?
I can't remember. I'm afraid it was a few tweets I saw.
I've got a very strange one for you here, actually, that does relate to pixels or P resolution. IGN Italy reports PS5 does not support 1440p. Confirmed directly by Sony to our editorial staff today.
Now that's peculiar, isn't it? Because the Microsoft boxes have always been very good at supporting all kind of weird and wonderful resolutions, even back to the OG Xbox. That's peculiar. I wonder why they've done that, because I've got a 1440p monitor, so
a lot of people will want to, especially if you want to play 120 hertz, you might have.
That's a peculiar decision. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Sony recently.
It's a very strange, like you say, especially for people with monitors that don't want to invest in a very expensive 120 hertz TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big. It's a strange move if that is true.
But we saw with Gears 5, it is also running on dynamic 4K, right? Even ranging from 1080p till full 4K. So I said it in a tweet as well. If resolution is above 1440p or even 1440p, but with all the bells and whistles, I think it will look great anyway, right? Even if it's 1440p with 120 frames, for me, it's totally fine. But I think a lot of people maybe have also the expectations wrong. I think everybody's expecting 4K 60 with ray tracing and all the bells and whistles. I don't think it will happen. I think the expectation may be been set too high also by PlayStation and Xbox. I don't know, but I don't think we see a lot of 4K 60 with ray tracing, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think we'll see, especially at the beginning of the gen anyway. I think later on in the generation, when they've got used to the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Probably they'll be able to know how to work around things to be able to push everything to its max.
Sure. Yep.
But at the beginning of the generation, we're going to see quite a lot, if not most of them, running dynamic 4K 30 with ray tracing, 4K 60 potentially if we don't include ray tracing, and then a performance mode where it's like 120 frames, 2K or 1800p or whatever it is.
But how amazing is that we get options? I mean, how much options did we? Yes, I mean, we got options, a little bit options when the One X launched, but before that, it wasn't options at all. It was always fixed. And if we get in most games 3 options or even two options, man, we are a winner.
Yeah, 100%.
We are a winner because everybody's different in that one. Somebody wants 120 frames, the other ones want just a beautiful game, right? So if we have multiple options, guys, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, completely agree.
There's been some controversy around the obviously Gears 5 dynamic resolution dropping down as low as 1080. I think John Linneman put people in their place because I think a few PC people were saying, well, I thought the Series X was supposed to be more powerful than a 2080 Ti, and John Linneman came back saying it is. It's running settings higher than the ultra settings on PC, so that's no judge. But also, it's not utilizing the velocity architecture at all. This is just brute forcing the game through its hardware. So, this is why I asked you what game it was, Pux, because I was wondering if it was a backwards compat title or not, because, any game that's specifically coded for that piece of hardware, particularly first party, you would kind of expect them to be able to get near to those targets. I agree we're not going to see 4K 60 with ray tracing, but we should kind of be seeing 4K 60 without ray tracing to a certain degree. I know that's going to depend on the graphical fidelity, but that's kind of where we are with things at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah, I can't quite remember what games it was, but yeah, I completely agree with you there. I mean, it most like very much these reports, quote unquote, are coming out in the next last few days, right? So it's going to be a back compact game, and as you say, all of these things are brute forced. But I do find it interesting when you guys are saying about you don't see 4K 60 of ray tracing anytime soon, because I think not soon, but at least in the next say 3-4 years maybe, when as you said earlier, Dutch, that developers are going to start getting used to the hardware. They know what they're coding for. They understand the architecture and what the capabilities are, how they can utilize their SSD for the extra speeds, for faster loadings. I don't see it as impossible. I definitely see it on the horizon. But yeah, when that will come up
first, don't you?
Probably Fortnite.
No, I reckon Forza will be the ones that actually do a 4K 60 with full ray tracing, because they normally are at the cutting edge, aren't they?
They always, even in the Xbox One version, right, when it launched, it was 1080p 60. I think it was one of the first titles that reached that target, which was really impressive. So probably they will be one of the first. But if you look now also at which graphics card you need to reach 4K 60 with ray tracing, guys, I mean, you need a hefty one, huh?
No, yeah.
You need a hefty one. So, of course, I believe with VRS and all those other, there's sample feedback streaming and all those other stuff that is on the DX12 platform, that is on the dev kit, for the Series X. I do believe steps being made, but I'm really finding it hard to believe that we're really going to see it, because we got a demo also right for Minecraft, and Minecraft isn't really an intensive game, but it run at 1080p.
You say that though,
ray tracing, and it was absolutely fabulous, huh?
So, do you know how taxing that is actually on the PC? Believe it or not,
like crazy,
it's
right?
Really taxing, yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna see it a lot. But let's see. Let's prove us otherwise. I hope, but maybe we can see it on the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series XL, or I don't know.
I do wonder as well, though, if things like new innovations coming out, like Unreal Engine 5, that's like the next big thing in the gaming tech world to come along. And I do wonder if I don't know, maybe they're utilizing new tech in some fashion to maybe it will be possible, because I think. Again, I appreciate what you're saying. I don't disagree with it at all. I'm coming at it from almost playing devil's advocate here, so I'm not trying to be awkward on purpose. But I do wonder if, with all of these, I've lost my train of thought now. What was I going to say?
The engine footage that we saw was also running at 4040p, and then with some dynamic resolution or other stuff going on, right? Because it is already so taxing, all those things going on. 4K 60 on itself, I think, is already very taxing for a system, and we see that now if you want to brute force it. But even then, to put ray tracing on it, I think we are underestimating how much taxing that is, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you something else that we're not considering is the the hardware coded machine learning in the Series X that the PS5 just doesn't seem to have. I think once the particularly first party developers get a handle on this machine learning and can do sort of upscaling of textures, a little bit like DLSS 2.0 even, that's going to free up some resources where you can actually push the system a bit further.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
DLSS is a great technique, and I think also they announced it as super resolution or something like that, right, with the machine learning. So they're probably working on that, and that's actually great, because some images that I saw from a normal 1080p, something like that, and then with DLSS on it was almost looking better than a native 4K version. But it will save you so much resources. It's amazing. So if they create something like that, it's awesome. It's great.
Well, it's a bit like in the photography realm. You went from having just megapixels to what they classed as ultra pixels, where they used kind of larger blocks, but allowed you to kind of get detail at greater range as well, without using kind of more space. That's kind of the same effect in this kind of development cycle, what you say, with kind of the different kinds of DLSS that they've kind of implemented and
VRS, VRS. It all helps, doesn't it? And the velocity architecture in general. I think as stunning as these launch titles are probably going to look on the Series X, I think they're going to blow us away in 3 years' time once they really get a handle on this hardware.
100%. Pat, you were going to say something, brother. What was that?
Yeah, I just want to say that what Pongso just said in the chat, like he said, I just want developers to give us the option on every game we need to be able to choose FPS or graphical features.
Yeah.
Is that an option, or like does it like with with certain kind of games it's
I think the vast majority of games this generation, because we've seen it a little bit last gen, especially obviously because of the One X and the PS4 Pro, that they started to give us frame rate or what was it?
Resolution.
Resolution.
Yeah, graphic resolution. Yeah.
But you see, with Tomb Raider specifically, they had resolution mode, then they had graphical fidelity, and then they had frame rate mode. So they had 3 options. Of course, if you go to graphical fidelity, it wasn't full 4K. It was just maybe it's 1800p or 2K or something like that, upscaled to 4K. But then the kind of all of the different kind of graphical features had been ramped up. So you had more foliage, you had better lighting, you had better fog and particle effects. And that was the middle option of the game. And then you had frame rate option as the final one. I think we'll probably see more of that, more of what Tomb Raider implemented in Shadow and Rise of, where it had 3 options. Where you have resolution for people who want full 4K and everything, kind of the toughest thing, but then it really kills the frame rate, so like 30 frames. Then you have fidelity, where it drops the resolution down and then kind of uses DLSS to kind of up-res that with a higher frame rate of 60. And then you'll have the frame rate mode, where it's more uncapped and potentially from 60 to 120, depending on the game. I think that'll be more commonplace across both Xbox and PlayStation 5. I think because.
So you think like you're.
Yeah.
You think you're that we're gonna see that more in different kind of games, that they will get this feature like coming.
Commonplace.
Sure.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's to the developers. It gives it, because this is the thing that they didn't have last generation with PS4 Pro. Well, PS4 and Xbox was similar architecture, or similar as a whole. But both of them are Zen 2 and based on RDNA 2, both x86, as opposed to kind of the differing kind of infrastructures that both of them had last generation. And then before that, PS3 had entirely their own proprietary system, which was much harder to develop for anyway. So anything like that was never going to be there at the time, because it was harder to develop for 2 different kinds of architectures. Last generation it improved a little bit, but this gen they're both based on the same thing. They've just got tweaks here and there, and they've got their own kind of proprietary tech that's on top of the basic architecture that they can use. But the overall core to both systems is the same. It just, again, it depends on how developers really want to implement for both of them. I don't know if any Puxley or Phlapp you want to kind of add on to that.
Well, yeah, you're right. This is the developers that, you can have the most, you could have a Series X that's more powerful than a 3090, but if you haven't got the software or the developers that are going to cater for it to its nth degree, then it's almost pointless at that point. So, it does come down to the first party developers, I think, because, you kind of look at those to push the systems beyond what you even think is capable. And like you say, I think those guys will be the ones that actually push the systems, on both PlayStation as well, to the absolute limits, and the ones that will be able to sort of spend the time and effort optimizing for all of the different modes. Because at first I was thinking, indie titles, you could probably get lots of different modes, but actually, indie developers probably just don't have the time or budget to actually optimize to all of these different levels. So I think it'll be first party titles where we see these. But let's not forget, we've actually got more options now, because we've got 120 hertz tellies. So it's not just a matter of, because when we were talking performance mode, we were kind of trying to hit 60 frames a second, but now we've got another benchmark beyond that can be hit on certain titles. So the options are growing, and it would be nice to be catered for, because I've got a TV that can do 120 hertz. I'm really looking forward to playing some of these games at 120 hertz. It's going to be fantastic.
One thing I will mention, because again, you've meant obviously SX2 and yourself have both mentioned 120 frames there. Is how common do you think 120 frames is? Not surprised to see it in cross-gen games, but the cross-gen progress and the power is used for better fidelity. I see 120 frames per second not being very common.
Well, I think 120 frames a second is incredibly common if you're on PC.
Yes. The thing you've got to realise as well is the reason 120 frames per second is more common on PCs because they don't try to push out resolution. They never have tried to push out resolution. The vast majority of PC gamers are playing at 1080p or less. The vast majority of the time, if you have a look at the statistics across, obviously, Steam, which is the largest kind of platform they've got for the database or analytics that you can get, they're playing on anything from 1080 to 720p, and especially people that are pushing the frame rates out, like on kind of quick shooters and things like that, like what's the main? Yes, CSGO. They're going down to 720p and pushing that frame rate up to 140, 300 frames a second because they don't need resolution. They don't want resolution. They just want the quickest reactions possible. So I think personally, you will see 120 frames as a more common option throughout this generation, but it won't be at resolution. It'll be 1080p, maybe at push 2K, and it'll be that way all the way through. I very, very much doubt you'll see, because it's a push in itself to get anything at 120 frames or above, or even 100 frames and above at 4K on PC, let alone the consoles that we'll have. So I think, yes, we'll see it as more common, but not at 4K. I think you'll probably see it 1080p, 2K at a push. What do you think? Do you think that's about right, Phlapp? Puxley?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about right. And also, you know, we're at the dawn of TVs having HDMI 2.1. And, you know, I think, you know, these consoles will push the sale of TVs. And, you know, the more TVs that have this HDMI 2.1 and can actually push 120 frames a second, particularly with variable refresh rates as well, you know, so even if it does fall down to 108 frames a second, you're not going to see that horrible screen tearing. I think it will become popular as more mainstream or the main TV in your living room, you know, can support these extra things.
The thing, but it all still comes down to optimization, I think, is the important thing to add here, though, isn't it? Because it's easy to say that I've got a monitor or a TV that can support 120 hertz, but I think what most people don't seem to know or realize, which is no fault of their own, is basically what that 120 means from the game's perspective. Because what you're really saying there is that's not just the screen refreshing. The game is doing all of the physics calculations and updates per frame. So depending on how well the game is optimized, obviously depends on how well you can reach that. So I agree that I think maybe 120 will become slowly more popular, because I mean, for myself, for example, I've got a 4K TV sitting in my main living room, but it's not 120 capable, it's 60. So, and I'm in no way going to rush. I mean, that cost enough on its own about 2 years ago, and I'm in no rush to get a new one. I'm more happy to kind of experience 4K 60 than I am 4K 120, if that's ever going to be a thing. Because
if Microsoft first-party studios are catering for the PC market anyway, particularly with DX12 Ultra, then it's not a huge leap to actually just port that over to the Series X, because, you know, the consoles have never been so close to PCs in terms of performance.
That's true, but most of the market base aren't going to be enthusiasts, though, are they? It's going to be your casual market and intermediate gamers, which are going to be your majority share.
Depends what your lead platform is. If your lead platform is PC, then you're catering for those guys anyway. You know, you're not going to pump out a 60 frames a second a game on PC. You're going to push that to the limits. And if you're able to then perhaps port that over to the Series X with some optimization, I do agree that obviously optimization comes into it in a big way. And this is why I said it'd probably be first-party titles that actually push that narrative more, because they've just got the time and budget to do it.
I suppose it also comes down to the type of games as well, right? Because I think there's so many people, as you say, you mentioned about CSGO earlier. I mean, that is not graphically that great, is it? But people love the game because the gameplay and the gunplay is fun. And I think that's an important thing I think developers need to remember. There's a lot of games coming out which are so focused on graphics to the point where actually the gameplay sucks. It's like, so why it could be a waste, can't it? It's like the graphics are not the thing to shoot for anymore. It's you want things to look nice, but it's a balance now, I believe, between making something look good and what your vision is as a developer for what you want the players to experience, but also how the game feels and controls to you in your hand, because it doesn't feel good to play. It doesn't matter how nice it looks, you're not going to play it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think Dirt 5 is a good example, huh? How it more or less should be done.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
With the 3 options. Yes,
Yeah.
there are 3 options, I think. And the one that was 120 frames, was that 4040p?
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, how amazing is that? We come from a generation where 4K 60 you didn't see quite a lot on the One X, so it's all dynamic and all those kinds of stuff. And then we're going to 120 frames per second, and for sure I'm gonna get a new TV. I think somewhere next year, because I want to take the benefit of that as well. And you see now more and more TVs also coming. So I think that's great. And if we have games at 40p, so it's actually 2K and with 120 frames, man, impressive.
Oh, very impressive, very impressive. And now we'll get on to the part of the show where we talk about our favourite parts of the outgoing generation. To welcome the kind of favourite parts, and then what we're looking forward to going into the next generation. I'm going to be playing a video that I played today on last week by none other than God's Geek, which I think kind of is a very good start into it. Now, everybody knows the video now. He has a new one coming up on the 6th, which everybody should tune into. That should be quite interesting and get the hype going for launch. But we'll let this video play, and then we will start reminiscing on our favourite games and kind of moments from the last gen.
Some would call this a revolution. Others would call it a resurrection. But to me, it is so much more than that. This is our rebirth. And you're right. We lost. But I can assure you, with everything in me, it won't happen again.
Yeah, I love that video.
Woo!
So yeah, that's like God's Geek, another great Xbox fan there, but pulling out some amazing edit. I think that does a much better job at bringing up the hype than a lot of the certified Xbox accounts.
It makes me wonder why on X, why don't they employ him and get him to do that? Because if he can bang one of those out every couple of weeks, I mean, that just, like you say, just builds the hype so much, doesn't it? It's fantastic.
I know. Well,
that's the first time I saw that, and I'm sitting there with a big grin on my face, thinking, "Oh man,
it's awesome, isn't it? Awesome video. It's
who did the voiceover? Did he do it himself?
No, I don't think so. It would have been. It's amazing if he has. Really good. So well done. But he's got another trailer coming out on the 6th, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that kind of plays out. But he's got Dealer and Colt and a few people involved, so I think he's got maybe part of their unboxings or something like that and put into it as well. So.
Oh yeah. Because I believe that this coming Friday, what I noticed from the Dutch press, the journalist, that this coming Friday they will have the full review, right? Or is it already the 5th? Because they said Friday. So that's 2 days from now. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. So that must be when the embargo lifts for full reviews.
Yes. Yep.
That should be an interesting one then. That should be very interesting.
I saw a tweet. He was responding to someone. It's actually Game Kings, they call in the Netherlands, goes from mouth or something like that. And he said Fridays will be the full review. So let's see.
Right.
Yeah. Sweet. Be interesting to see. So, kicking off the latter part of the show here, and it's reminiscing on our favourite parts of the previous gen. From games to experiences, maybe multiplayer games that you played with your friends that you kind of that makes you happy about the generation that we've had, and kind of going onwards. We'll start with the guests again. So, Phlapp, if first of all, is there any specific game that really stands out from this gen for you? Not just a favourite game, but maybe it's an experience you've had on one of the games that has really stuck with you.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. It's not first party or anything, but Red Dead 2 for me. I lost myself in that game so much that I played it twice straight off the bat. That really got to me, that game. I love that game, and that's why I'm so excited for Red Dead 3 if and when it ever appears. But obviously Xbox is my chosen brand. It's where a lot of my friends play. I like the ecosystem and stuff, and it was absolutely great to play it on that. Because one of my favorite things about this generation is perhaps you have to have some dark to understand, or some shade to have light and stuff. And I think perhaps the OG Xbox One was a little bit of shade for Xbox, but they've really finished this generation strong. I mean, the Xbox One X is a fantastic piece of kit. They've done a little bit of experimenting with the all digital version of Xbox One, and they're obviously now bringing that through to the next generation in the Series S. I think the One S is probably the best looking console ever, if I'm honest. That's one of my most favorite looking consoles. I think it's a really nice looking thing. I just love the generation in general. Like you say, it got off to a bit of a ropey start, shall we say, but I think they finished so strong. And the thing that I like the most about it is they clearly seem to have learned by their mistakes, and they haven't saved everything for the next generation, because Game Pass is here and now. We can dip our toes in that, and that's just going to get better and better. So it's just nice to see the evolution, and it feels like you're on the winning team for once, to be honest.
It does, yeah, it does. Well, the beauty of this part of the show really is that it's not specifically, because again, we're gamers at heart. It matters not whether or not that's first party, third party, second party. I'm not bothered about what kind of where that experience has come from, but your favorite experience of the generation. And after all, of course, if Red Dead was one of those defining games as well of the generation, and they really pushed the boat out. I mean, that is a beautiful game from start to finish.
I actually went back and played Red Dead 1 on backwards compat, and even that's pretty a phenomenal game. But just to see what they did, in that space of one generation to get to Red Dead 2 level, it's phenomenal, really phenomenal.
And of course, you had the slight enhancement there, thanks to Xbox for Red Dead 1, which put it up to 4K.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? When I put it in the machine, I was thinking, "Oh, this is," because I'd literally just played Red Dead 2 twice off the bat, and I'm thinking this is going to look absolute crap. You know what? I booted it up, and I thought, "Bloody hell, this looks fantastic." Considering it's from a generation before, it looked really sharp. They did a really good number on that. It's a good game. If I never actually completed it first time round, so I actually went back and completed it and stuff, and it's totally playable, really playable.
And was there any? I mean, obviously you've played the single player twice over now, probably more than that now. Did you jump into the online on that at all? Was that something that you were interested in? Or?
No, I haven't. I've never really jumped into the online, but only because it gets so much bad press. Because I know, I'm guessing it doesn't make much money. So they don't seem to put much love into the multiplayer aspect of it. And I've heard some bad stories. I just left it at the single player, to be honest. I didn't want it. Well, I'll tell you the other thing that happens is you get so involved in your character in the single player that I didn't actually want to start as anyone different, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I actually stayed away from the multiplayer side of things, to be honest.
That's fair enough. Is there any multiplayer games of this generation that has drawn you on? Is there any that you've had unbelievable such funny nights and things on?
Yeah, Pux and I have put an unseemly amount of hours into Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We played that one to death, didn't we, Pux? Pux and I are big Call of Duty players anyway. I mean, I started playing first-person shooters back in the Medal of Honor days on PC.
Yeah.
And when Call of Duty first came along, it's like I don't know why we need Call of Duty. We've already got Medal of Honor, and then it obviously took off, and we know what happened to Medal of Honor. But we're big, first-person shooters, and COD's kind of what I play mainly. So I'm looking forward to downloading the Cold War and seeing what that's like. To be honest.
Right, sweet.
That's my multiplayer go-to.
See, that's the thing. This is the thing that I've done this gen. I've not been a fan of their version of Battle Royale, but I love Modern Warfare's regular multiplayer. I think
me too.
That feels brilliant. I can jump into that and have a few games, and I usually do quite well, which is always helpful. Of course, when you start playing shit or you have a shit game, you're just like off. Turn that thing off. But when you're playing well and it's going well and you're top of the leaderboard or top of your team every match and things like that, that's when you start to get that buzz.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed the standard multiplayer section, and I'm guessing that's what you've both been playing a bit more.
Strangely, Pux and I are exactly the same. We had a dabble in Warzone and stuff, and it was all kind of I don't know. It was kind of good at first and a bit of a novelty, but actually we didn't take us long to gravitate back to the normal multiplayer and just pretty much stay there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially, I recently jumped onto the new the Halloween zombies mode that they released in Warzone, thinking, oh man, this is going to be really good. And then I played 2 games and I was like, this sucks. Let's go back to normal multiplayer. Because in my mind, I thought it was meant to be. I saw it as the players, and then maybe a few zombies that had like some, super big abilities, and it was like, the zombies had to get the humans, right? But it wasn't that. It's, oh no, you're still in your squads of 4, you still need to survive, but there might be some zombies as well, and the zombies are severely underpowered. How about that? And you think, well, it just kind of ruined it for me. And as Phlapp already said, like, standard multiplayer is what we've always played and loved, and Warzone was like this thing which I jumped on the Fortnite trend, I guess, like the Battle Royale, and I was like, oh, it could be good. And it was like, oh, but it isn't. So.
No, I completely agree. Like, I just didn't click with the Battle Royale on that game. I don't know, there's something about it. I don't think the way the weapons work well for normal multiplayer, but I think the weapons don't work anywhere near as effective on Warzone.
I agree, and you've also got the armor thing to because we've been playing these games for so long. I mean, my muscle memory is so deeply ingrained into my hands and my brain that, when you think someone should be dead and you stop shooting and you think, oh no, I've only half killed them because of their bloody armor. It grates a little bit.
Yeah.
I think this is in my mind. I mean, my again personal opinion, but I think this is why people enjoy games like Fortnite, which kind of really kickstarted it off outside of PUBG and other games, because games like Call of Duty are originally all designed to be smaller maps. You've got all your different guns that you can choose from, medium maps, slightly larger ones and smaller ones, and it works well in those environments. But as you say, when you've got the exact same type of gameplay and you throw that into this absolutely massive gargantuan space when you've got no cover. Like, it doesn't really work. But going back to Fortnite, where it kind of originates from outside of PUBG, it's because you've got that, some people might call it BS or not, but the building mechanic kind of works in that space because, if you're getting attacked from somewhere, you can defend yourself quickly in an open area. I mean, you could argue it's bullshit that you can't kill someone, which should have been your shot, but then it's almost like give and take, right, of the genre. But yeah, for me, as you just already said, I don't think it works too well for a game like Call of Duty. But equally, because it's free to play, everybody jumps on it and loves it. So, I mean, who am I to judge, I guess?
Well, it seems to have got its own new audience, doesn't it? There are lots of people out there that love it and play it, and that's absolutely fine, but it's just not my bag, I guess.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as me. I think a few of them like playing that. I've forgotten the mode on Warzone. It's the one where you have to gather as much money as you can.
Yeah.
Plunder, I think it's called.
Yeah,
Plunder.
I
Yeah.
think more people play Plunder than they do Warzone, and I can understand why, because that's a bit more of a fun and active version of that. Because you have to gather your money and people kill you, and then you lose all of your money, and you have to go and collect more from more people. And if they've got lots of money, you can take their money off them, and then whoever wins, whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. It's a bit of a different take. I think that's a more exciting version. But again, that's a now and again. I'll jump into that, but I prefer just the multiplayer. Puxley, other than Call of Duty with Phlapp, what other games really?
So I've actually got 4 standout games from this gen. But they're actually all across all 3 platforms. I mean, I'm a massive Nintendo fan. I'm not ashamed to say that at all. And I think Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, for me, were big revolutionizers in those 2 specific games because they were becoming... I mean, I loved all of those titles, right, that have come out before, but there was a point they were so samey and it was all the same formula and nothing really new was happening apart from maybe a slight camera shift or a slight button change or whatever else. But I think the way those 2 games played for me, jumping into them for the first time, becoming a bit more, completely more open world and more free roaming about. I thought the way that Nintendo implemented that mechanic into those 2 kind of, massive titles that everyone knows and loves, I think they did such a good job at changing what could have been a disaster, but I think they completely revolutionized both of those franchises, and it's kind of got me a bit more excited as to where those 2 in particular will go in the future. It also makes people worry about it because you think, well, you've done open world, how can you do open world again? But Nintendo being Nintendo, I'm pretty sure they'll pull something out the bag and make a success of it, I'm sure. PlayStation side of things, the big one for me is actually God of War. I think that game was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'll be honest, I never really got into or played God of War as a hack and slash game, so I never really got into any of the other ones, but the story element of this one is what really drew me in, and I think the way that the story was told and the music as well, I think the music really made that game. And I think music can sometimes be something which is maybe understated in games, but the audio, it can make and break a good game, I think. For me, that was absolutely phenomenal for me. But equally, which might surprise people actually, but on the Xbox side, so I actually played this game after the anniversary update was my first time. But Sea of Thieves is actually a game which I've not quite experienced the game quite like it before. And me and my friend loved jumping into this and going, because when we first played it, they didn't have the beginning tutorial sections that they do now. So we kind of joined this game and it was like, what do we do? The game kind of goes, well, you've got these buttons, go figure it out. And start off with this tale and we'll take, and then just learn it. And for us, I thought, I've never seen a game that kind of goes about it in that way.
Initial treasure hunting as well, because they just okay, then go.
I thought it was fantastic. And the way... And the different tales as well, because it's actually one big story, because it's quite easy to kind of just do the tasks as if it's like a massive fetch quest. In a way, you could argue it is that. But there is a story behind it. It's kind of loosely told. And I thought the whole mechanic of the way that game worked was just quite novel. I don't think I've not seen any other multiplayer game do what they did. And I think that was really good in that regard. And that's really stand out for me. And it's for those reasons why I'm really excited to see what Everwild will become from Rare. Because we saw the Everwild trailer, I think it was in the May showcase or the July one, sorry, I can't remember which one. But it's funny because nobody, I think even the developers have said that they're not quite sure what the game's going to be. They don't quite know what direction that game's going to go in. So for me, I find that scary and exciting at the same time because I can kind of see it being like I would hope that it is a game like Sea of Thieves, but obviously on land in some sort of fantasy setting somewhere. But I think the way that was pulled off in that, I've not seen any other game where you get players, you throw them into a map and you go, right, yeah, there's stuff to do, go figure it out. I mean, that sounds really boring and plain, but I think the way it was executed, I don't know, for me, something just really stuck with me there. And
Grounded does that as well.
Oh, you know what? I've not actually given that a chance yet, so I can't talk that game's case, but I might have to jump into that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are probably my 4 main standouts.
You create your own stories and Sea of Thieves. That's something great. And also the battles, when you have finally some chest in your ship, and then you see an older boat coming, then they're hunting you down, man. That's super exciting.
Well, me and my friend would go on, and then we'd be kind of doing a bit of a quest, and then we'd see like in the distance. He goes, "Oh, I think it's a sloop over there." Which those who haven't played, it's the smallest one with one person. We go. Should we just throw some cannons his way? Yeah, let's do it. And then, it's good fun. But then before we know it, there's a guy behind us with the bigger ship, I think it's just all good fun. I think it's a great game.
It's one of those games that just creates those water cooler moments where everyone's just had a different experience in this same world, and it's a brilliant game. It's such a great concept.
Yeah.
Oh, it's to be fair, the amount that they've added to that game over the last kind of year or two has been insane. You talk about kind of a game that's not only just been kind of released, it wasn't early in development, but it was lacking a greater deal of kind of content past the main game and the kind of main kind of should we say premise. But then to add the story mode and all of the different quests that go along with it, and the legend kind of thing, and the end game content, and you've got skeleton ships and ghost ships and the Kraken and the Megalodon and all of these different kind of things that crop up, and all these short stories that you can play, and all of the different kind of customization, and the fact that they just keep changing it and keep adding to it. There's only just been another add-on kind of, I think, last week.
Yeah, very recent. I think that's the incredible thing about the game as well, because I follow them on Twitter, the Sea of Thieves page, and it's almost like every other week I'm seeing, look, new drops are coming in, there's new cosmetics, new stuff coming. I'm thinking, like, how many more updates is this game going to get?
Well, it's getting another one because it's getting a Series X patch, isn't it? 4K.
Yeah, that got announced. Was it today they got announced?
No, yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yesterday, yeah. Yeah, Series X patch confirmed.
It was today, yeah. So Series X is 4K 60, Series S is 1080p 60.
Right. That's good.
That's smooth.
4K 60. That'll be nice and tasty. It already looks absolutely beautiful anyway, to be fair. Super. I mean, imagine if they implemented, even if they just kept an option for 4K 30 with ray tracing on that game.
Oh, man.
Especially on that water.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That would look beautiful, wouldn't it? Imagine ray tracing on that water. God.
Yeah.
I think the game's a good example as well of a game which doesn't need to have amazing graphics to be a good and attractive game visually. For me, I think the graphics are fantastic. But, even though it's cartoony and a bit flat here and there, but whatever. But it's just colourful, right? It's vibrant. It's alive, and I think that's what a game needs.
And dynamic weather also. So the dynamic weather also brings a lot of extra atmosphere into the game, which is really nice.
Yeah,
and I think the water physics itself are super impressive, man.
Oh, unbelievably impressive.
Can you imagine if they bring water scooters in the game like Wave Race? Wave Race 64 on Nintendo 64. Oh, man.
We've had a couple of games this generation, haven't we, with fantastic water? Because I remember being blown away by Black Flag, but with its water physics, that was phenomenal. Because I think that was a cross-generation launch, wasn't it, right at the very beginning?
It was, yeah.
And that really impressed me for its water as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing. Obviously, we know Ubisoft tried with Skull and Bones, but then it just disappeared off the face of the planet to create a game like that. But yeah, it's just a game like no other, and again, it's garnered such a fan backing in the end, compared to what it had when it first launched, that it's just continued to grow and be successful. And it is. I was going to mention that actually as one of my games that kind of stood out. especially when it first launched, because I was playing quite a bit when it first launched, quite a number of hours. And it was the initial kind of going in and investigating things and seeing all these new islands and new places and coming across things for the first time, and especially when they first brought the Kraken into the game as well, and not knowing how the hell to defeat that thing or what you needed to do, getting dragged off the ship and pulled off and dying and boat sinking. And I don't know whether or not you tried it, Puxley, but the first time you went too far on the map and you didn't know what was going on.
Oh yeah, this is what I mean about the game just throwing you in, because it was like you have to go to the shores of gold, and I saw that icon on the map as you said, and I just sailed to it thinking, well, what's the big deal? And it was all going red, and the screen's shaking, and it's going black. Oh, what's going on?
Honestly, it was like you say, red, and then the music starts getting
pretty ominous,
evil, and you're like, what's happening? Then the ship starts to break apart. Like, what is going on?
There's me just trying to fix it infinitely. That come on.
Yeah. That honestly, it was like you say, though, it's just them experiences. It just makes you fondly laugh and look back at it. Such a great game. Pat.
Yeah.
Your best moments of this gen, your funniest, best moments, best games. What are you looking fondly back on from this generation?
This generation was for me pretty awesome, I must say. As you know, I bought my 1X last year December, so it's pretty fresh for me.
Yeah.
But before that, I played on the original Xbox and the 1S. But seeing the difference between the consoles, that was pretty awesome. Like Erwin, Barry, and those two guys, they were like pushing me to get a 1X, get a 1X. Like they make me crazy. So I thought, okay, why not? I just gonna buy a 1X, and that changed a lot. So. I've been enjoying a lot of the Assassin's Creed series, especially Origins, because that's one of my favorite games, if I must say, of the Assassin's Creed series. Ori and the Will of the Wisp, that game blew me away. The way it looks, the way it plays, the story behind it's really awesome. And of course, PUBG, that's my main multiplayer game. I think I'm never gonna stop playing it. So, and I made the last few years. I made so many friends to the community. So yeah, man, that's one awesome thing as well. So
yeah. And I mean, what kind of, is there any particular moments or any funny kind of times that you've had specifically? I mean, you've probably had quite a few, especially when PUBG first launched and things like that. Is there any kind of funny nights, funny moments you can remember in party with friends that you've kind of looked back on fondly?
Yeah, of course. Like always when I play with Erwin, we have so much fun. Like it doesn't matter which game we're playing. We've played so many games together, and it's always a big laugh when I'm online with him, and also with other people, of course. It's like every moment I enjoy playing with people. So yeah, that's
I was going to say one of the funny moments, especially when PUBG was first coming along, was I was playing online. You'll have seen them on Twitter, but with Fatal Enigma and I think Shom initially as well, when it first came out. But there was a few moments where it was driving the buggies before they started really fixing the kind of the driving on that game. And the random rocks and sticky parts of fences and things where you would just flip or explode in the middle of nowhere. And there was one that really just tickled me, and it was just driving along in the little buggy, and it flipped upside down on its head for no reason, but then decided to break down.
It's crazy. I actually I don't know if I still have the clip of it.
Yeah.
I need to look it up. But one time I also crashed my motorbike, and I just flew way up in the air, and I just landed somewhere, and my bike exploded, and was dead. That's crazy. Like when the game launched, it had so many bugs and kind of things, crazy things going on, and yeah, that was really fun, man. That was really fun.
Sweet. Erwin, how would you kind of define this generation, and what games have really stood out to you? Any funny moments or stories that you can kind of look back on?
I think also with PUBG, but I have, let's say, general impressions, not only with gaming wise, but also going to the fan fest, all those experience. I was lucky to be invited back in, what was it, 2015 or something by Eric Greenberg to join FanFest in Cologne, and met all the team, and all the years afterwards I was invited as well, luckily enough. But I met so many nice people from the community, and also like everybody's on the team. We went for lunch and dinners with them. I made new friends, German friends, all across Europe. So many cool experience that we have over there, and I went a lot of times with Barry as well, my mate, who was coming along, and we had some really fantastic weeks over there. So that's really something that I'm really fond of thinking, just making so many new friends, and also on Twitter, right? Having met so many nice persons. Also the experience of getting the OG Xbox One in Germany, because it launched a year later in the Netherlands. So we just took the car and just went to Germany, once to pre-order it and once to get it. That's still it's an experience that I won't forget. I did it with Barry as well, and with Samuel, his colleague. We went back to Barry's house in his apartment. We did 3 televisions, 3 consoles, and then we just installed it. And I think we played. I played Forza, we played Killer Instinct and stuff like that. Battlefield also. So those were really amazing times. But I remember also playing Titanfall for the first time. Right, Titanfall. It was big. That game, playing with those big mechs, right, and shooting and running and wall running and stuff like that. I was really like, whoa, man, this is fantastic. This is what I expect from next gen back then. But PUBG, man, when PUBG came, I felt like I was 16 again. I was playing till 3-4 o'clock in the night, playing with Pachu and with Barry and with Emu. And I'll never forget, I was with Barry as well. I took my 1X with me. And then I showed you that video clip, right, where I was screaming like crazy, and Patty was saying, or Amy were like, "Are you in the church?" And we were laughing like 50 minutes or something like that. It was fucking unbelievable. Patty's laugh, looking like an MP5, like. And oh man, we had so many, but the whole, and that's what we improve now also this week. The whole teamwork. When your strategy works, when you really cooperate, really depending on each other, and if it finally works, that chicken dinner, it's so satisfaction. And the Horizon series, man, super impressed. Not really that I played a lot of multiplayer, but just the single player with all the fantastic views, the cars, the details, everything was mega impressed. So and I started really collecting a lot Xbox stuff. So every time when I went to FanFest or even to Microsoft Netherlands, I was invited also a couple times at the main office in Amsterdam. I was actually on a live stream a couple times where they invited me and stuff like that. So I have many good memories in Xbox in general, and also the new friends that we made, like twins, from the US, those guys, and Phlapp, and also now Vinny, right? I have the feeling those guys are friends for life, They're always online as well, and when you talk to them, you have a lot of fun. And I don't know, man. You don't, you're not standing still so much at those experiences. But I really appreciate those guys in my life now, and also with the Xbox 360, I made some real life friends, and we went out back in the days, and amazing time. So gaming is cool. Gaming is positivity, and I hope everybody can have that same experience and positivity, especially now. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I want to echo that sentiment as well. I'm fortunate enough to meet yourself. I haven't yet met Pat, but that'll be rectified when COVID disappears.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I met yourself and Emil and a few others at Ep.016 in London.
was cool also, that night.
Yeah.
Man. I will never forget that as well, man. Seeing you, so tiny, and I was like this long, like fucking crazy, Your beer glass was just the same height as you are, No, but it's just joke. But meeting you finally in real life, not feeling awkward or anything. Just we have a click directly from the start, and we already had a lot of contact on Twitter, and also played a couple of times on Xbox together. But meeting you in real life, just being a friend, I don't know, good connection directly, and see what we are doing now, right? Just having fun, talking games, and it's a wonderful experience. Such things.
Yeah, that's if you want to go back and speak about what we think Xbox should do more in the future, is really one thing I want to see them implement more. Is more fan events on a country by country basis. Now, even if you're doing one kind of international one where you live streaming a show, there's nothing to stop them by hosting these exact shows where the main event is live streamed to each individual section, depending on where the time is, but have the fans there as well, and have each because they have divisions. They've got Xbox UK, they've got Xbox NL, Xbox Germany. Kind of each country has their own little section anyway. There's nothing from stopping them putting on an event for each fan when it comes to these things, and I think that's one thing they could implement to kind of really get the fans involved. I think you guys would probably agree. There's an absolute abundance of centres and conference centres in the Netherlands that I know of as well. Never mind in Den Haag or Utrecht or going to things like the Ziggo in Amsterdam, or there's just so many possibilities in the Netherlands of where you can hold it. The same in the UK. They had it in such a small, for the UK, quite a small area. I don't know whether or not Phlapp or Puxley, you managed to go to X019.
Sadly not. I was up for some tickets and it all fell through at the last minute, unfortunately. But I was gutted.
If I knew you at the time, I had a spare one going. I ended up giving it. No, I literally had given some random lad on Twitter. I ended up meeting at the
really?
Yeah. But if it comes up again, I usually get a couple of tickets anyway, just in case somebody else wants to join. But if it comes up again for a future event, I'll let you know, and we'll get something sorted. But yeah, my standout moments have to be kind of, again, it's based on multiplayer games. So other than kind of the key standout games that we've kind of mentioned previously, like your Forzas and things like that, it's the multiplayer things that have really stood out to me, and that's I think a lot of people kind of overlook sometimes. I love single player experiences, but the best nights that I've had on console have always been in a party full of people having a laugh, whether it be on PUBG like we've been recently, where it's Brits v the Dutch, which is so funny, especially the other night. That was and then playing zombies mode at the end, which I think we need to do more of, because that was hilarious.
That was fun.
But PUBG, or whether or not it's playing on like I say Forza Horizon and having silly races on that, or Gears of War or Halo, or no matter what it is, it's always my key thing of this generation has to be connecting with so many people and having those funny nights and having those really kind of mad moments where everyone's just joining in and having a laugh. So my standout for this year has been more getting to know the community a bit more and getting to know more people, meeting a lot more people. This generation, last generation, the 360 thing, I think was too young to really understand the impact kind of gaming has on everything. Is not just kind of me, but everybody else in between as well, and getting involved more with the community across the board, to me, has been the standout moment for me this gen. Across events, seeing how everybody reacts to kind of different events and different shows, and then seeing how everybody reacts to even the smallest of things like photo mode, and when you show off kind of some of your photography from in games and things like that, or funny moments when people are posting kind of silly things that have happened, or across the board. It's just such a, I say, I've had such a good time even playing with you guys. It's especially when we've been. When Erwin starts his laughing fits on PUBG and you just can't get him to stop. But I mean, it was the other night. It was just me. It was only about a week or two ago, but it was just me left playing. Everyone else had been killed, and then there's Erwin just absolutely wheezing in the background. Just couldn't stop laughing. But it's things like that. So funny.
You know what's also what I really like is like last week my girlfriend decided to hop on the Xbox and playing some PUBG. You know, like it's the first time she's playing it, so it's it's really fun to see. But like we're almost a week further, and seriously, from the morning she wakes up, she says, "I'm gonna play PUBG after we done with work." You know, and she also likes it. All the people in the chat also. She loves to see the podcast every week, and that's what.
She's a common partaker of the chat as well, which is
and that's really what I like. That the people all come together and just enjoying it and have some fun, and man, that's. And also, one thing that I needed to say is that I have the new shirt on, right? The one with all the panel members.
Yeah.
And she looked at my shirt and she was like, do I see it good, or what's the character on the right? It's Broyer, yeah? She's like, are those nipples? You know what? The black things on the... She thought it was nipples. I was like, what the... Are you looking at my nipples or what? And she was like, no, on the character. And I was like, oh my God. Jesus.
Harry nipples.
Yeah. Man, it's so much fun to see that she actually is also enjoying it, the games and stuff. So
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
it's like I say, it's always good to see kind of more people get involved as well, and like you say, especially your partner is. And you've been playing PUBG for a very long time now, and
I've been playing it from the beginning. Yeah,
and very frequently. But God, it's what I mean. What led her to jumping into that to see what it was like?
I don't know. Like, she just wanted to probably experience what we have. Normally when I'm playing, she's in the in the other room watching a movie or stuff, and she didn't want to do that anymore. So I think,
it's just having fun.
Yeah, right? Of course, because we all know each other. Like she knows you, she knows Emil personally as well, and we all play the game. So why not? Like it's fun to play all together, like I said. So
but yesterday also with Justin, right? About it's then we were laughing like crazy, right? And that makes your whole day directly good. And it's so much fun just having your friends around, and you can do that every day. It never gets boring. So it's wonderful. And then like meeting up with you guys and the English guys, on PUBG, and you have like 12 people in your party, right? It's everybody laughing like crazy and acting all funny and competitive and stuff like that. It's a great experience. It's really lovely.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the it's when everyone's involved and you've got everybody kind of laughing around in chat or laughing in party and things like that. It's so funny.
So
funny.
So no, it's good times, man. And like I said, look what we are doing now. Who thought a year ago that we are going to do this? So I would like to thank everybody also for all the guests coming along. Phlapp again, and now Puxley also, and all the guys in the chat, and everybody is showing their support on each their own way, and it's wonderful. So big thank you to everybody, and to you also, Drew, for connecting us together. So happy days, man.
Happy days. I'm gonna have to get a shirt with Happy Days slogan on it
for sure.
It's gonna have to happen.
I need that.
But I think what we'll finish the show on is, of course, this is the last episode we do now until we get our consoles next week, and then we can kind of excitedly start talking about kind of how we found the consoles, and obviously if we've managed to have enough time to play them, and what we find out about them and whatnot. But we'll finish with what is the first game you guys are playing on that new console, and what are you looking forward to playing in the next year? What's the most anticipated game in the next year, and what's the first game you're going to be playing on that console when you pick it up? First, we'll go to the guests. So Phlapp, first game you're going to be playing, and then most anticipated in the launch year.
Valhalla, probably. That answers the first one. Yeah, definitely going to be getting that and firing that up first. I'm intrigued to see how that's going to look, because when you see the gameplay footage on YouTube at 4K, it's phenomenal, and I just want to experience that on my TV, firsthand. So yeah, looking forward to that. And to be honest, the other one's just around the corner. Probably for me, Cyberpunk. These sort of huge games like this, they don't come along that often. I mean, this one's been 7 years in the making, and things like a Fallout or things like an Elder Scrolls, those sort of games, or even a GTA, they come along quite rarely. So when they do, I really sort of throw myself into them, and I'm really looking forward to sort of delving into Cyberpunk and just learning all about it as well. And it's, it looks like it's got quite a lot of replayability as well. So really excited for that. And both of those games are going to be here within, before Christmas. So that's awesome. Really excited.
Yeah. Sweet. Puxley, first game you're going to put up when you get your Xbox.
Yes, assuming I can get one as soon as. Yeah, I'm actually very similar. For me, it's probably going to be Valhalla. So as soon as I can get my hands on a system, that'll probably be the first game I play. Really looking forward to that. I've not actually jumped into an Assassin's Creed game. Since Syndicate, actually. I didn't play Origins or Odyssey. I never really got around to them. So I'm really looking forward to jump back into it in this one. Game I'm looking forward to next. For me, I'm actually quite intrigued and looking forward to Balan Wonderworld.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit. I like my platformers, so it's something about that. When I saw the trailer, I thought, actually, this game looks pretty unique in terms of what it's trying to do. I've not seen a game quite like it in a long time. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well.
Sweet. It is definitely, that's the first time I've heard someone say Balan Wonderland. It is extremely unique.
It definitely had that Nights into Dreams feel about it, didn't it?
Yeah, it's got a bit of an old school vibe, which I don't really see a lot anymore. So that's kind of probably one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly strange, but I'll probably look at it at some point. It's very. I mean, the more I've seen of it as well, the stranger it seems. But there's a few games like that, like Scarlet Nexus. It looks cool, but I've got no idea what is going on in that. No. Absolutely no idea. Pat, what are you when you pick up your Series X after you've sold your e-bike and picked one up? What the first game you're going to be putting into that console, and the most anticipated, the one that you're most looking forward to playing within the next year as well?
I think I'm going with Phlapp. First, I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's one of the main games that I really want to play on the Series X.
Yeah,
and of course Cyberpunk, because that game looks, for what I saw now, it looks amazing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that two games. So
sweet. They're your most anticipated then for the next year.
Yeah. And of course, like PUBG, but that's what you guys already know. So
most definitely.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Erwin, what are you going to be playing first, and what are you most anticipated for?
Yeah, that's two good questions. I'm not sure yet. I'm not completely sure which one I will start first. Maybe it's the Falconeer that I start first as the first title, and that's mainly due to it looks cool and it's a Dutch developer. So I want to support the Dutch game developer. I saw the interview with Larry Herb, Major Nelson on the podcast as well. Cool guy. So I think I will just buy the game and see if I like it or not. It looks pretty cool, I must say. The gameplay mechanics also looks pretty cool. So maybe that. And I'm still really in doubt if I'm going to buy Dirt 5 or WRC9. Because they're going to optimize also for the Series X to 60 frames per second instead of 30, so that's a big plus. And it's also being optimized especially for Fanatec wheels that I have. So I'm a little bit in doubt if I'm going to buy a WRC or the Dirt 5. I'm not completely sure that, but both look great. So I'm a little bit in doubt if between those three titles which I will play first, and then definitely when everybody's online, first pop to the G. And then also Gears 5, because Gears 5, with the analysis also being done with Digital Foundry, it looks absolutely great. So I'm really looking forward to co-op with you guys to run through the single-player game with Sean also, and I think that's a cool experience. So probably that. And what I'm really looking forward for next year is just to see some more gameplay of the new games. But also Halo, man. Halo Infinite. Come on. Just blow our socks away finally. I really, really hope that they can counter back by showing us off and we're like, whoa, this is how it should be, right? Because it can be such a great universe with a lovely planet and etc. If they can just knock it out of the park with that, I'm really curious if they can. And maybe or Horizon 5 or Motorsport. I secretly hope, but I don't think Motorsport is coming next year.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, it's undoubted that you all know what I'm playing first. For me, it's I've got 3 games that I'll be playing. Valhalla isn't the first because I want to be able to sit back and enjoy Valhalla properly. So the first games I'll be testing out will probably be Bright Memory 1.0 and the Falconeer. So the first 2 that I'll be trying on the console. And then when I'm kind of a little bit more relaxed, Valhalla will be going on and I'll be getting into that properly. So they're my 3 that I'm kind of testing the first day that I get that. And my most anticipated outside of Cyberpunk, because that's kind of an obvious one, is, and I'm secretly hoping and wishing that next year we get Hellblade 2.
Yep.
That's my most anticipated. Yeah. Primarily that the vast majority of the development, including mocap, has been done and is being done currently. Now, the only reason they're waiting for UE5, and that's a good thing about UE5, is that you can just drag and drop all assets from 4 to 5 and continue on. So it's not like it's a big kind of work process to go around that. I think there's a few things they want to use in UE5 to kind of finish the development of that game as opposed to just continue, start development on it. So I'm secretly kind of fingers crossed here that will be the tail end of next year. Maybe it's a holiday launch title, kind of holiday 21 for Series X and S. So that's the one that I'm most anticipated for, and I can't wait.
Do you think Starfield might come around for Christmas next year?
No, I don't think so. I think that maybe might be a Q1 or Q2 22 title.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's the problem with that game is that nobody knows anything. Like, it was announced a couple of years back, and since then, it's quiet. But that's a good thing. Like, the one thing you don't really sometimes, especially with a game that's that big and it's kind of the newest, or it's their first new IP for quite a while. Being a little bit quiet on it and not really showing loads of things can be a good thing. I've seen a lot of games, especially this generation, where games have had development issues because they've shown something not far too early, and then it's not turned out to be what it's meant to be.
Bethesda, I mean, they've got a history of not showing things till kind of quite late in development, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. But we also had what was that space one? What's the name of it? That ended up, it was absolutely
Starfield?
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, that's the one. No Man's Sky, when that launched, it had nothing that the developer promised. Nothing. Nothing. There wasn't endgame. There was like the planets weren't anywhere near as detailed as promised. There was no multiplayer. The multiplayer that was in it, you were just floating orbs that were flying around the screen. It was so poor at launch. But thankfully they've managed to drag it back round. But I think that's why a lot of developers have started to share less about their games throughout development because of issues like that and Fallout 76. Where they've promised so much and then it's never lived up to expectations.
Fallout 76 is a strange one, isn't it? Because was that a ZeniMax game? I think it was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was the same. It plagued the same thing that plagued Elder Scrolls Online.
Although that seems to be a lot more popular than Fallout, and I mean they're still pumping out loads of DLC for that even now, aren't they? I mean, it's quite old.
Horrific at launch. Like that game was so bad. And then, especially on PC, I remember you've probably watched it quite a few times, but Angry Joe did a thing on Elder Scrolls Online when it first launched.
Yeah.
And dear God, that thing was horrific.
Actually, they screwed up the pricing on that as well, if I remember early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because didn't you have to buy the game and pay a subscription or something? You had to do both. Is it something like that?
Yes, you did. You have to buy that and the subscription at that, and initially on PC anyway, that was the case.
Yeah.
But hey ho. I'm looking forward to, again, we have less than 1 week to go now until we get our Xbox Series X's and S's in our hands, depending on what you've got, chat. We've all had that nail-biting moment this week. I don't know whether or not Erwin's had his money come out from Media Market now for his consoles yet, but I've started to see a few posts today saying that Media Market are starting to take money. So
yeah, they had my money already since the start, since I pre-ordered. So I'm already, it's already been done.
Already
so
paid.
I'm just waiting for cancellation actually, but they didn't do it. So I'm good. Hey guys, but I can talk for hours, but I really need to go because tomorrow I need to go up at so early. It's already 11 p.m. or
Don't worry.
So I really want to stay, but I am destroyed after being awake by Jesper this morning. So I gotta love you and leave you, man.
That's all right, brother. If you want to let people know where they can find you and what you've got planned for this week, and we'll let you leave.
Yeah, so they can find me on Twitter, of course. It's Forza Erwin, right? Forza Erwin also on the Xbox. It's Remspor84 on PSN. And what I'm planning to do is, that's actually a good one, Drew. Not so much, to be honest. I think mainly PUBG because I am in love with the new season. I am having all those new skins and backpacks and stuff like that. So I'm really into the game. And if I'm online, I only want to play PUBG. So bad is it. So no, really looking forward to counting the days. And
so good is it? You mean?
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. But so nothing really major planned. And that's it. Counting the days. That's all.
It is indeed. Next up, Patja, if you can let people know where you can find you and what you've got going on, brother.
Well, people can find me on Twitter with the name that you see here, Petchu070. Also on Xbox. And what I'm gonna do, just normal work a day, days at work. But it's not that busy, so early at home, so we can play more games. But I've been recently also playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I got gifted by Hertog Finn last week. And man, for now, I'm not that far yet, but I'm enjoying that game a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna play that game this week for sure, this weekend as well, and some PUBG with Erwin and the other guys. So yeah.
Yes, I'll have to jump in with you at some point as well and get some.
Yeah, sure. Always welcome.
Sweet. And last but not least, thank you so much to our guests again today, Phlapp and Puxley from Green Pass Gaming. Thanks for coming along, gents. First of all, Phlapp, if you want to let people know what you've got going on, brother, and where they can find you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks for the invite. It's nice to come back. It's always nice to get the second invite on shows like that, because I guess the first one, it takes a little while to sort of settle into because everyone's got their own sort of modus operandi, as it were. But once you've got into that and you know kind of how it all works, it's really nice because you can kind of settle into it and really enjoy it. But no, appreciate the invite. Thanks for inviting me. Love doing these. I mean, it's great to see the chat. Obviously, familiar with a lot of names in the chat, so that's also great as well, because we've kind of got this bubble of a community, and it's so nice to see the same people kind of going around supporting each other. And it's nice to see newcomers come in as well, and they're all quite welcoming. So I host along with Puxley Green Pass Gaming. I'd be surprised if possibly, like I say, everyone in the chat probably isn't aware of us and probably swung by at least once in a while. But so Green Pass Gaming on YouTube, Green Pass Gaming on Twitter, and I'm at Phlapp2 on Twitter if you want to DM me privately. I had a great time, and thanks for the invite.
That's no problem, brother. Welcome back anytime, and look forward to jumping on your show in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, we've got that coming up.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Puxley, again, thank you, brother, for coming along.
Yes.
People know where they can find you and what you got planned.
Sure. Yeah. No. Thanks again for the invite, Dutch. It's been really good doing these. As I say, I've not been a guest as much as Phlapp has before, so this is really good fun. Love talking games with people that are all like-minded. So very much up for doing these at any time. You can find me on Twitter at PuxleyAR is where you can usually find me, and it just got announced, I think halfway through the show, actually, that on Saturday I'm actually now going to be a guest on the Indie Gamer podcast as well. So if you're into indie games, you can also check me out there this Saturday. But aside of that, Twitter, PuxleyAR. And in terms of what I'm up to, I'm probably going to carry on playing some Rocket League. But perfectly honest, I'm getting right into that in ranked at the moment. So I'm going to continue playing that, I think.
Fair one. I haven't played that for a long time, to be fair. So enjoy it, brother. Enjoy.
I will.
Happy days. And thank you again, finally, to our chat. Awesome chat again tonight, and great to see so many familiar faces come along and show your support. And I'm thankful for your comments and your feedback on everything. It's, again, much appreciated as we get closer and closer to our 20th episode. Which will come before Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll try and get something special set up for you guys. But again, thank you again for everybody joining us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you again next week when we've can welcome in the new generation. So thanks to everybody. I hope you have a brilliant night, and we'll see you again next time.
See you guys.